Hey guys, Quigon Quasar here, back again with another Mass Effect Andromeda video, and in this video I am going to be talking to you guys about what I believe to be a very good idea for some Mass Effect Andromeda DLC. Not a brand new Mass Effect, not a brand new Mass Effect game, but some really good Mass Effect Andromeda DLC. Now, for those of you that don't know what the First Contact War is, the First Contact War is a battle between the Turians and the humans way before sort of there was any sort of peace or any like alliance between them, way before the events of Mass Effect 1, like 30 years before it. Now, the First Contact War is something that I think will be a very good setting for some DLC, a DLC that completely takes place in its own story, not, you know, relying on the story of Mass Effect Andromeda. I don't think it's enough to, I don't think it's a big enough sort of conflict like, say, the Reaper War or the Collector invasion, I guess you could call it. I don't think it's a big enough conflict for an entire new game or an entirely new sort of experience or game, but I think it will be make for like a really good like 2 or 3 hour DLC for Mass Effect Andromeda and operating on the Mass Effect Andromeda engine. Now, I'll give you a bit of backstory about the First Contact War. Now, after discovering the Charon Relay, humans began a rapid expansion thanks to their newfound connection to the Mass Relay Network. Now, this is, you know, like I said, way before Mass Effect 1 and the events of Mass Effect 1. Hoping to expand their territory and driven by immense curiosity about the galaxy, they began activating every mass relay they could find. However, in 2157, their actions caught notice of the Turians, who found human explorers reactivating an inactive mass relay known as Relay 314. This was forbidden under the Citadel regulations after the Arachni Wars, so that, you know, to prevent the Arachni from coming back. That's a whole nother alien species. Go look them up if you're curious about them. But instead of negotiating, the Turians opened fire. One starship escaped to warn the Alliance, the Human Alliance. And a retaliatory force destroyed the Turian vessels, and the situation quickly escalated into war. Sorry if the gameplay is not, you know, top-notch right now. I'm reading it whilst doing a live commentary, like live gameplay. To the Turians, it was merely a police action against an ignorant species, the humans, violating council law. But to humanity, it was their first encounter with another intelligent race, and it would shape their views of the galaxy for decades to follow. Now, that's the backstory I'm going to give you guys, but if you want to check it out, or check, you know, like the full backstory of it out, I'm going to leave a link in the description to Mass Effect Wiki, and that will give you like what I'm looking at on my laptop right now next to me. It will give you like the whole breakdown of the First Contact War. It's a very interesting sort of conflict between the Turians. It was a 3-month-long conflict. It happened in 2157, which is roughly, I believe the Mass Effect 2 was set in 2181, I believe. So it's only like it's a few decades after, a few decades before Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3. It's you know, it's not super, you know, way before the original game, so the technology wouldn't have to be massively different. It wouldn't have to be, you know, built into a whole new engine. That's why I think it would work very well as a Mass Effect Andromeda DLC, because the Mass Effect Andromeda engine is absolutely awesome. It's flawless. The servers aren't flawless, but the engine is very damn good. That would be awesome. It would be an awesome way of telling that story. They never really told the story in any way. They mentioned it a few times in the original trilogy of the First Contact War, the story of the First Contact War, but it was never really covered in gameplay terms or anything. It was just something that happened way before Mass Effect 1 started, and, you know, a few Turians, a few humans harbor bitter resentment over it, and you'll notice them are a bit racist still towards each other in the original trilogy. They never really covered it at all, though. They hinted at it, they talked about it a little bit, but they never covered it. And it sounds like a really awesome thing, because obviously in Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3, Mass Effect Andromeda, the Turians and the humans and all the races are like chummy and you know, good friends, apart from the Reapers, the Collectors, and the Cat, and the Geth. Obviously, they're like the evil ones. They want to kill you, but apart from them, all the races are friends. All the races are pretty damn good, you know. They're homies and everything. They're quite chummy with each other. I know there's some fighters and some people that fight each other in the Mass Effect series, in the original trilogy, and in Andromeda. But for the large part, the races are, generally speaking, allies. It will be so freaking awesome and so cool to see like a whole different spin on it, where, you know, these Turians, these guys that you used to see as, oh wow, they're amazing, they're homies, they're friends, and you know, Garrus from the original trilogy of Mass Effect and the original trilogy of the Mass Effect series. Garrus was obviously the Turian teammate and one of your squad that you could take on missions. It'll be so cool to see it from a completely different perspective and see that, you know, the Turians as sort of like the evil guys. It would also be very, very awesome. Now, this is like in really amazing levels of awesome right now. It'll be cool if, for anyone that's not familiar with Halo 2, or if you are familiar with Halo 2, with that, they told the story of both sides. You played like, as a character from the human side and as, you know, from the alien side. They could really do it in this DLC as well. You could spend like an hour and a half playing as the humans, and maybe an hour and a half, playing as the Turians. That would be freaking awesome. And seeing it, play a mission as a human, see it from their perspective, then play the next mission as like a Turian warrior or something like that. Because, like I said, it's 21:57. It's not too long. A lot of the people that you see in the original series, well, not a lot, but some of the original series, original trilogy characters were involved in the First Contact War. I believe Admiral Hackett and David Anderson, I think it's called, your like commanding officer in Mass Effect 1. I believe they were in the First Contact War. So it's, you'd see familiar faces but younger, which will be absolutely awesome. I imagine seeing like Anderson as a young dude. Maybe you even play as him. Maybe you could even play as him. He'll be like the human protagonist, the human character to play as. And I think it would be so cool, so much cooler than just straight up playing as humans if you could play as both sides, because then it would really show that it's war on both sides. And an experience on both sides, and it would really set sort of the tone and sort of build on some of the backstory of that the First Contact War was set up for in the original trilogy. Like I said, it was never really touched upon apart from a few dialogue options and conversations, and that mentioned it a little bit. It would be so cool to sort of just, it was like one of the big sort of questions in Mass Effect. Well, not questions, but like one of the big sort of things like plot points that happened that never really got focused on. Obviously, there's other plot points in the original trilogy that happened way before the Mass Effect 1 even started or was set, and wasn't covered in or wasn't covered upon. But I believe this is close enough to the original trilogy to be doable with the same sort of same sort of technology and everything. And it would be so awesome. It would be really, really cool. I just think it would be epic, and it would be more, in my opinion, more interesting than a DLC that just revolves around the Mass Effect Andromeda storyline. I would love to see that, and that would be absolutely freaking awesome to see a DLC that revolves around the Andromeda storyline. But at the same time, I would like to see sort of like a whole nother sort of kind of campaign pan out in this DLC, and it's not impossible. It's been done before. For anyone that's familiar with the Gears of War games, they did a DLC where you played as one. I believe he was called General Ram, and he was like one of the main like aliens, the Locusts they were called in Gears of War. He was like the one of the leaders, one of the higher ups of the alien sort of conglomerate called the Locust in the Gears of War games. He was actually the main bad guy in Gears of War 1, and in this was actually Gears of War 3 DLC, and in this DLC you actually got to play as him and walk around squashing humans' heads, which was freaking awesome. It was one of the greatest DLCs of all time, beaten only by the Mass Effect 2 and 3 DLCs in my opinion. But I just think it would be awesome. It's very doable. I think BioWare should absolutely do it. It would get them so much popularity. Mass Effect Andromeda has taken a bit of a beating, obviously, because of the server problems and because it hasn't sort of lived up to some people's standards. I believe this will be a very, very good way of winning back the hearts of some of the Mass Effect fans that sort of fell away from the game or, fell out of love with Mass Effect Andromeda because of some of the glitches. Some of the glitches have hit some people harder than others. I'm not one of those people, but I do believe BioWare could win back the heart of a lot of this sort of die-hard original trilogy Mass Effect fans by kind of incorporating part of the original trilogy, but a part of it that wasn't ever touched upon. By incorporating that into Mass Effect Andromeda, incorporating that as sort of a DLC that you have to get Andromeda to play, that would be freaking awesome. It would give people more incentive to buy Andromeda, therefore increasing the player count and increasing the amount of people playing Andromeda, and it would create a lot of popularity. Believe me, it will create a lot of popularity. It's a win-win for everyone. It's something that would sell a lot for BioWare. It would please players. Oh my god, it would be amazing to see that. It would really please me and really please fans of die-hard fans of the original trilogy, and it would it'll probably introduce quite a lot of Andromeda fans. I know there's quite a lot of people, strangely enough, that have played Andromeda but haven't played the original trilogy. It'll give them quite a nice introduction to the original trilogy, and maybe some of the characters from the original trilogy, like Admiral Hackett or Admiral Anderson, or I believe Saren Arterius, who was like the main bad guy from Mass Effect 1. He was sort of involved with the First Contact War as well. I don't think he was sort of one of the fighters, but I do believe his brother, like Saren's brother, died in the First Contact War to humans. That's why one of the reasons why I hate humans so much in Mass Effect 1. So it'll give people that haven't played the original trilogy sort of a nice introduction to it, and that would pave way for a Mass Effect original trilogy remaster, which I've already done a video on. It will pave the way for that as well, which, hint, hint, please do that, BioWare, please, just please do that. It would be freaking awesome. And yeah, that's why I think it would be a good idea. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, obviously. If you agree with this, if you agree with this sort of idea, the best way of doing this is not just like fingers crossed, like, please God, please let that be made, or please let this DLC be made. It's just talk to BioWare. Like, any way you can get hold of them, so social networks, social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, anywhere you can sort of get hold of the social team behind BioWare. Just suggest this idea, suggest whatever idea you want, really. A lot of the ideas, you'll be surprised at how many ideas from games and, you know, TV shows they actually incorporate into the actual thing. They might make some tweaks to it, obviously, because I'm not a game developer. They might make tweaks to it because they are the professionals after all. I am not, so they probably would make tweaks to it if they, you know, actually turn it into DLC. But believe me, BioWare, if you're watching this or someone from your team is watching this, it would make a lot of fans happy, and it would really sell well. It really would. It would be awesome. So yeah, if you enjoyed this or find it, you know, informative or interesting at all, please do leave me a like. It would really help me out, and I would really appreciate it. If you want to see any more of my videos, any more of my Mass Effect Andromeda content, definitely stick around and subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.